All right. Just want to do a quick sound check to make sure everyone can hear me. So below the live stream itself, if you could just pop one of your questions in, or just rather let me know if I can, or if you can hear me, then that would be great. And this is the iTube, YouTube, We All Tube for YouTube session, which is almost as good as ice cream, but not quite. Great, a couple people coming in saying sounds good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start because 30 minutes is so fast. My name is Elizabeth Brumbaugh. I am the teacher in residence at the Krause Center for Innovation, which is part of Foothill College in Los Altos Hills, California, in the United States. So love to hear where you guys are from as well in the chat box. So let's go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about YouTube. So to give you a little bit of background, I used to be a high school English teacher, and then I was a vice principal at both the high school and middle school levels. And then I did some work at the county office running their educational technology programs, and now I'm in higher ed sphere, getting to work with teachers and all of the development and growth that is exponential these days. And so what I see over and over again is this appreciation and understanding that YouTube is this really rich resource, but sometimes getting bogged down in the details and the how-to. So hopefully I'm going to make that a little more digestible, and also get to some kind of geeky fun stuff that over the years I've learned and really honed in some nerdy ways. So we're going to go through basically some really great resources for showing videos in the classroom, because I know that there's still a lot of schools and a lot of districts that don't allow YouTube, or only allow YouTube videos to be shown by the teachers and not necessarily used by the students. And so I want to try to address as much of the place you may be in as possible. So we're going to go through showing, curating, and making playlists, and then a good portion of this will be creating and making sure that we're being good digital citizens, and then getting geeky with some more resources. So in terms of showing videos, I'm going to go ahead and play this very brief commercial. And if you haven't seen it before, oh goodness, I hope you appreciate it.
Little fun zoo. I got you, buddy. Got your money right here. But you're not gonna get it. Cause you're a rat. You think I wouldn't know? You sold me out. You're a snitch. Louie, take him out. I said, take him out.
Are your kids watching the right movies? Go to commonsense.org.
So that's a great resource. Commonsense.org is a fantastic resource, and this particular YouTube video, I think, really highlights making sure that we are being good consumers of the internet and good consumers of what we're providing to our students. And so I really just want to highlight 4 Chrome extensions, and the link to each of these are in the slide deck, which is also linked on the agenda for today. So you can access all of this really easily. But I want to show you what each of these extensions do. I'm not going to do a full-on live demo of this part, except that I do give a little description here: new tab, blank background, and what each of these do. And all of them are free with the exception of this last one, and we'll talk about that in a second. So QuietTube will take a video and open it in a new tab and take everything, all the extraneous stuff that's around that video away. It does not delete the ads that are embedded within the video itself. I'll show you later how to do that in a second. So that it does open a new tab, so there might be a little bit of load time on that. This next one is turn off the lights. And turn off the lights will install this tiny little light bulb every time you're on a YouTube video watching page. You'll have this little light bulb, and if you click on that light bulb, you literally get this sort of scene where everything in the background just gets dimmed. So it isn't opening it in a new tab, but it is shading everything around it so that the visual focus then becomes on the video itself. Now, when I was teaching older kids, that's what I would use, because by and large, they had the most of the time they had the self-restraint to focus on what they needed to focus on. Where you might want to use QuietTube with some of the younger kids, just so that you avoid all of the extraneous stuff. Pop out actually pulls the video into a completely separate window, versus QuietTube, which opens in a new tab. And then the last one, and this goes back to my earlier point about the removal of ads within a video, is SPOI options. It used to be YouTube options, YTO or something like that, but this gets really, really granular. So you can see in the spot where you actually download this extension, you can hide. It's really small, but you can hide in-video ads, you can hide annotations, you can hide closed captions, disabling autoplay. So you can really, really get granular with that. Now, the only caveat that I would give to that is that I wouldn't always necessarily opt to take out the annotations, because you can create really powerful videos using annotations, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Now, SPOI options is $1.99 a month, or you can get an education license. So if you click on that link in the slides themselves, then you just fill out a brief piece of information and say, hey, I'm an educator. How can I get educational licensing? I just want to use this with my classroom, or if you're a head of a school, then I want to use this with X number of teachers. So give them some information, and it's always worth asking, and you can get an educational license that way. And then this last piece is just TestTube, and this is where you can get access. You apply and you get access to sort of what some of the YouTube team is doing on the back end and in development, and be able to give feedback. So if you're somebody who wants to be on the cutting edge and learn about what's up and coming, then I highly encourage you to go down that route. So let's jump into curating videos. If you have never created a playlist before, then I highly encourage you to make your first playlist be something that is personally entertaining and fun for you. Too often, I think as teachers, we try to, kill not just 2 birds with 1 stone, but like 20 birds with 1 stone. And we try to make sure that we're doing a lot of, that we're crossing as many different topics as we possibly can. What I would encourage you to do, as I said, is find something that you're just genuinely interested in. So there's essentially, I see it as 3 ways to build a playlist, and I'll go through them very quickly. But one thing that I want to sort of forewarn you about, don't worry about taking notes, don't worry about any of that, because I've actually created a playlist that goes through how to create a playlist that you can view at a later time. So if I go too fast or anything like that, you can go back and pause and rewind as much as you would like. So when I go into YouTube and I sign in, I'm going to say that one of the things that I am interested in right now is the winter solstice, okay? And I can go through whatever topic that is and search for different videos in this way. And this is how a lot of people search. I have a couple tips for you. The first tip is try to make sure that whatever playlist that you create is between 3 and 7 videos. Any fewer than 3, and it's not really a playlist, it's just a couple of videos, and any more than 7, and it's becoming too lengthy. Think of a playlist as a story, and you have a story arc. So you need to have some sort of introduction, you need to have the meat of the playlist, and then you have to have some sort of concluding video. This is all with the assumption that you would want your students to watch the entire playlist, maybe not in one sitting, but over a period of a unit or over a period of time. The last thing is make sure that each video that you choose is somewhere between 2 and 5 minutes long. Any less than that, again, it's too quick. Any more than that, and you risk losing attention. Far better to find 2 smaller videos than to find one very long one. Now, there are a couple tools that you can use to crop these videos, and we'll get into some of that later. Or if you're interested, then you can send me a question, and I'll make sure that I get back to those questions. If not during this session, then afterwards. So why the days are shorter in winter and longer in summer. So I'm just going to do a basic search. I see winter solstice. Let's pretend that I've viewed this and I think it's fantastic. I click on Add To. Now, what's here is a list of all the playlists that I currently have. Assuming you don't have any playlists or you don't have a playlist around winter solstice, I just clicked at the very bottom of Add New Playlist. And so I type in winter solstice and I click Create. It says up at the top for a very brief period of time that it's added to that playlist. One last tip is to make sure that when you're searching, think of additional words that you can add beyond your topic itself. So not just winter solstice, but winter solstice song. Say I've listened to this and I go, oh, this is perfect. It describes everything that I want it to describe. Again, I go to Add To, winter solstice, added to playlist. Or I could put in something like cartoon or rap, or there's a lot of different options. I can come here, let's pretend that this is one. I'm just making sure that I add 3 to give you an idea of what I would do with this playlist then. So this is the first way you can search for playlists. The second way is to actually go to your list of playlists. So you would need to go to your channel and you would find playlists. And these are all the playlists that I've created. So once I come to a playlist and I've created that playlist, over here where it says Add Videos, I could click on Add Videos. You have to make sure you've signed in. And it'll ask you to go ahead and create a, to add the link in. So my password is actually saved somewhere else, and so I'm not going to go through that process right now, but we will do this. So again, I come here. You can see the most recent thing that I did was look at winter solstice. But you would have to actually know which videos you want added. When you sign in and you are adding videos directly within the playlist itself, you have to either know the URL ahead of time, or you have to be able to search for it, and it comes up in a smaller box. So it's really up to you if you want to use that method or not. The last thing, the sort of third way that you can search for a YouTube playlist is to just take one from somebody else. So I know this guy, and his name is Kyle Brumbaugh, and he creates some pretty good videos and some good playlists. And so I search for him, and I search under his playlists. And when I search under his playlist, I see he has an entire playlist all on Google Apps training and deployment. That's exactly what I wanted. And so instead of going and trying to recreate the wheel, I'm going to click on his playlist, and then I can click on save. When I click on save, I have now added it to my library. And somewhere in here, these are all of my playlists as well as other people's playlists. You'll see like Common Core Training from Kyle, or GTA apps from Lisa Highfill, that I can find other people's playlists that I can access whenever I need to. So kind of have three different options in that regard. I have a sample inspiration playlist. It's always a good idea to make one of those for those long days and those long weeks and those long months where you need a little extra inspiration. And then the click on how do I make a playlist and YouTube tutorials playlist will take you through not just how to create the playlist, but then afterwards, how do you edit that playlist to make that story arc that I was talking about? And then how do you do annotations, which we'll talk about in a second. So creating videos. YouTube editor, if you're already using YouTube pretty heavily and you haven't used YouTube editor, welcome. So YouTube editor allows you, there's the inspiration playlist, and there's test tube. Let's pull this up. So when you go to youtube.com/editor, you're going to be given an interface that basically looks like this. Now, if this frame over here under the camera doesn't have anything in it, that means that you haven't created any of your own videos to actually put in there, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to be your own videographer in order to put really thoughtful pieces together. So this is where we get into the ability to use Creative Commons. So all of these videos that are here to search in Creative Commons are videos that people have uploaded, and they have licensed them to ensure that other people can use them. So if I were creating a video, let's just say on roses, for no particular reason except roses are pretty. There are a lot of roses on here, and we're gonna once again pretend that I have actually watched this particular video, and when I click on it, it will show up here in this sort of preview area. We're gonna assume that I've watched the entire thing. I see that it is 7 minutes long, and I am dragging and dropping this video right into this spot down at the playhead. Now, you see these two blue bars on either side of the video. This allows me to crop the video itself. So, so that's going to give me some editing rights, as well as once I have highlighted this particular video, you'll see that over here, this has changed to be specific to this particular video. So if I want to do slow motion, if I want to rotate it, if I want to do any sort of changing of the video itself, if I want to add filters and get kind of geeky, like on pretend I'm on Instagram, or if I want to add something for impact, I can do that. So I'm going to just go ahead and say, nope, I don't want all of this video. I just want the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds for whatever reason. And then when I'm done, well, I can do that. And then in addition, I can choose text, and I can have text written on this particular elements or on this particular video. So think about how this impacts your life. So I want my students to think about that. And obviously I could change this and make it smaller, and but then it gives a prompt that's coming from me, the teacher, embedded on top of the video itself. So it isn't just this standalone, okay, I want you to consume, but I'm expecting that you're actually going to interact with your brain with this particular video. I can also choose to take the volume all the way down. So now there's that beautiful flute at the very beginning. We don't hear it anymore because I've taken the volume all the way down. And once I've done that, I can close this and I'm back to this edited piece. You can do that with all of these different videos. So if I do in fact want to take this next one and drag and drop it here, I certainly can do that. I'm going to crop it and I'm going to take the volume down and say I'll call it as it is. Now, these other elements, if I want to add photos to this project so I can have still and moving, I can do that. If I want to search different audio tracks, so you can see that they've got some holiday there, I can choose what kind of audio I want. So if I wanted Joy to the World by the Jingle Punks, I could certainly do that, and I could drag that audio down here. Now what will happen is that this will play at the same time over the volume or over the videos themselves. And it's on full volume right now. If I want that volume to be a little less obstructive, I can make it a lot softer. But those are, you can see it just about started there. In addition, you've got the ability to add some transitions between the videos, simple drag and drop. And our little Joy to the World is being pretty loud there. I can also add some titles. So if I wanted to drag and drop a title here at the end, I could intertext and say, now complete the form at whatever I want to say. So the idea here is you've compiled these videos together, whether they're partly your creation, partly Creative Commons, partly still video. You've embedded some text on top of it to give some thinking points for your students, and then at the very end have them complete a form using Google Forms that they can then respond to and sort of have an overall reflection. So that is one way to go through and really heavily use YouTube Editor and have your students use that, depending on their age and depending on the access that of course is given to you. So a couple of the getting geeky before we take a look. Yeah, the tools for editing the videos, it's just one website. So I'm looking at the questions. And the website itself, Pamela, is just youtube.com/editor. And it's all embedded right there on the site itself. And then this is one of my favorite examples of using YouTube and creating videos, because one of the things that you want your students not to be passive consumers. You want them to interact. And Choose What Happens Next is one of my more favorite sort of public service announcements. Okay. So there was a text message that a girl got that said, "Need to see you now, send me a hot pic." And these are hyperlinks, yes or no. Now, when you're watching YouTube videos, I bet you see all the time little annoying ads that pop up in the corners, usually, of the video itself. Well, what they've done here is created annotations that work basically like the ads, except what they do is they send you to one direction or another. So, you know, of course, the adult in us says, no, you don't send the hot pic, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and click yes. What it does now is it sends me to a new video. This is what happens if you click yes. So of course the next question is, should he show his friends? And this is when in a classroom of students, they often get really indignant and they say, no, of course he shouldn't. Like, okay, well, maybe he should send, you know, she should send it like if he really likes her, or he's gonna, you know, she really trusts him if they've been together for a long time, or they'll come up with all sorts of rationales. But no, absolutely he should not share it. So we say no to this. Sorry, you no longer have a choice. So what ends up happening is that, you know, the next question is, should he share it? Because this young man who's at the foreground of the video here, you know, says, oh, send it to me, and he's like, no. Should he send it? And again, it's, you know, we say no, he shouldn't. And again, it's no, the decision is really out of your hands. What ends up happening is that from this point forward, the storyline is the same, and it gets passed around the school, it gets passed to the parent, it gets passed to her little brother, and ultimately it gets passed to a creepy guy sitting alone in a room. So it's a great PSA, public service announcement, to get the conversation started with your students that is far more powerful than having some sort of lecture or having some sort of you know, scripted lesson around your choices mattering and sexting and things that our students are really having to grapple with on a daily basis. There are other ways you can use annotations. The amazing James Sanders put this together years ago, but it is a quiz, just authority within the Catholic Church. And he asks 3 basic questions, and whether or not you get it right or wrong leads you to one response or another. And then this is just sort of a fun one, and then you can click on the last link and learn how to do those things. These are some additional resources that I highly recommend. The first one, you know, if you need some additional support around creating the playlists and editing those, how do you create those annotations I just addressed? Using TED Ed as a resource, which is a fantastic resource if you haven't looked at it. It takes TED Talks and you're able to kind of crop them and use them to your advantage. Flipping your class resources, while I haven't explicitly called that out as a method by which you can use YouTube, it's certainly integrated within. And then Kyle Brumbaugh and Lisa Highfield's resources around YouTube as well. So with that, I wanted to thank you, and if you have any questions or anything, I see, yes, so many local authorities, and so using Safe Search Kids is a fantastic resource. And if anyone has any other questions, feel free to reach out via Twitter or Google+, or email me at the Krause Center, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much.